There is no health without mental health. There is no health without mental health. There is no health without mental health. And so say all of us. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you again. Welcome to Mind Matters with Dr. Nobi. Good to see you, Dr. Busayo. How are you? It's your regular Friday tonic, and by popular demand, I've been told that I need to do this at least twice a week. So we are considering having it on Tuesdays and also on Fridays, 6 o'clock West African time. All over the world where you are watching me, I want to say, how are you? How has your mental health been? You know, most of the time we talk about how have you been sleeping, how have you been, checking your blood pressure and co. But no one says, how have you been managing your mental health? If I ask us how many of us have good mental health, we'll probably raise our hands and say yes. But do we make deliberate effort to even ask, what is mental health? What does it entail? When do we say somebody has mental health or someone has mental illness? Can we all say we all have mental health? Can we all say we all have mental illness? I think that's what I want to address today. Over the week, I received calls, I received messages, and people said, you know what? Last week was beautiful. Last week was wonderful. You spoke about reason why people don't seek help, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But Dr. Peter, do you know that people still don't know what mental illness is all about? People don't know what mental illness is all about. Of jokes. Wow, that's my friend back in Jebode Grammar School, my alma mater. I'm happy you joined. Thank you so much. So people don't know what mental illness is all about. So the question is, let people know what mental illness is all about. Then we can now tell ourselves, why are they not seeking help? Then we can talk about stigma. Then we can move to effect of stress. Then we can talk about different mental illness that exist. Then we talk about management. Then we talk, what a wonderful time we're going to have. I'm not in a hurry, and I know we're also not in a hurry. So today, we're going to be talking about signs and symptoms of emotional illness. The truth is that it's not everybody you see on the road wearing clothes that are going through sound emotional state of mind, or have sound emotional state of mind. It's not everyone. Also, it does not mean that because you are not wearing tata clothes, picking things on the road, it does not mean everything is well. It doesn't mean everything is well. So today, we're talking about signs and symptoms of mental illness. But I must be quick to say something. You cannot say someone have mental illness from the face value. You cannot just say, oh, because I will be saying some symptoms, and then the question will be, really? So poor sleep. So if I'm not sleeping now, that means I have mental illness. Come on. Therefore, there are guiding principles, there are, guidelines that mental illness professionals, they follow before we can arrive at conclusion that this person is suffering from emotional illness. So if I say not sleeping, keeping to yourself, it doesn't mean that anyone that doesn't sleep now has mental illness. It does not mean that anyone that keeps to himself or herself has mental illness. No. And that is why we have guiding principles. So before I even go today to talk about some signs and symptoms of mental illness or emotional illness, I will tell you the guiding principle. The first, we call them the 5 Ds. Before you can say someone has emotional illness, the person must meet the 5D criteria. At least maybe 3, 2, but at least you will see it present. And what are these 5Ds? The first is distress. Whatever that person has, if it is poor sleep alone, don't come at me and say, Dr. Ogunubi, what do you mean? How can you say not sleeping is emotional problem? No. If you are not sleeping and it's causing distress to you, to people around you, then it's emotional illness. So you can see, it's just not enough to mention the symptom, but it must meet the criteria. So we talk about the 5Ds guiding principle. The 5Ds criteria that you need to meet before you can say this person has emotional problem. Distress. If it's causing distress to that person, it's causing, if it's affecting the person in a negative way, then you say this thing is causing emotional problem. Not just ordinary keeping to self, for example. So don't forget distress. The next is deviance. Any behavior you see in someone you know, your relative or yourself, that is deviating from the normal behavior of that person or within the population or social circumstances the person is, then you say, this person is having emotional problem. If somebody that used to, for example, if in my house now I just decide to sit on the floor and eat my bread and beans, that's my spaghetti, what happens if I now go to a mall or maybe Superstore or ShopRite or any of the malls around, and I now sit on the floor and start eating bread and beans or my spaghetti? In my house, it is a normal behavior because it is in keeping with the normal social circumstances around me. I can sit down on the floor in my house and eat whatever I like. But when I now go outside and I'm sitting on the floor, that same behavior becomes abnormal. So that's why we talk about deviation. If you go to some places, you see them doing some things, but if you go to another place, that thing becomes abnormal. So a particular behavior may be normal in a circumstance, but in another circumstance, it may be abnormal. So we need to understand that. We talk about distress, we talk about deviance. Okay? So it is very, very important for us to know. Another D is dysfunction. Any behavior, because we're going to be mentioning a lot of symptoms. I may not be able to finish this today. This is going to definitely be part 1 and 2 or even 3. Because there are loads of emotional symptoms. But today we are talking about the guiding principle. That before I start the emotional symptoms, taking them one by one, today I want us to know the guiding principle. The 5Ds, what we are discussing today. Okay? We have talked about distress. We've talked about deviance. Once there is deviance, is deviating from the usual, or someone that used to be happy. Yes, someone that used to be happy-go-lucky, everybody's okay around him, all of a sudden withdraws to his shell or her shell. That is deviation from the person's usual personality or character or behavior. If you have keen eagle eyes, you'll be able to say, oh no, for the past 5 weeks, this person has been acting funny. This person has been refusing to receive calls. This person has been withdrawn to himself or herself. So this deviance we are talking about is not only in behavior, sometimes in personality. Someone that used to be very, very quiet, calm, all of a sudden is not very religious, is preaching around, someone that is very calm, someone that can hardly look into your face, look at you, now begins to be very authoritative. I know a friend, when he broke down, The first thing I knew was that he called me. He said, Peter, are you hearing me? I knew something is going on. Because this is somebody that on a normal day, we not even have Dr. P. Say, Peter, he now saw you by saying, Gbọ́ mi dáadáa, like here. I knew something. That is deviation. That is deviation. You see them, they become very bold. They go around, they have a handshake that they want to put their hands out first. They even party at the back and say, a client walked into my clinic one day. This is a client that on a normal day used to be very calm and everything. But when he switched, he walked in, he just said, Piro, báwo ni? I knew something was wrong. Then he came to where I was, he patted me at the back. So, Mother Daniel, Mother, you're a good chap, you're a good chap, you're a good chap. So you can see this person used to be very quiet and now becoming very bold. We call it social disinhibition. Now he's patting me, saying, Mother Daniel, you're a good chap, you're a good chap. Can you imagine? So you can also have someone who used to be very bold, talk, all of a sudden withdrawn to self, crying, sensitive to anything. Or someone that used to be very hopeful. He believes that anything is doable. He believes he can do it. He has a can-do spirit. All of a sudden now becomes so pessimistic. I don't know. I don't even believe it is going to work. I'm a failure. Nothing good is found in me. What can I achieve in life? Nothing. Someone that used to be very positively minded. Someone that used to be, see things from the half-cup mentality. Now looking at it from the half-empty mentality. There is a deviation. That's when you use the word, it's no longer who he used or she used to be. Something has happened. Something has happened. So that's why we say there is a deviation. So don't forget 5 Ds that guide someone's behavior before we can say that behavior is abnormal. So if someone is withdrawn to self, maybe the person just wants to live a very quiet life. The person just says, you know what, all this Instagram, Facebook, I don't want to do again. I'm tired. You don't go to the person and say, you're having mental illness. You must first of all ask yourself, is it causing distress to this person? Is it causing distress? So if it's not causing distress, the person is just deviating. It's not causing distress. You can't say the person has mental illness. As a matter of fact, that's why you as a lay person cannot diagnose. You can only have eagle eyes. You can only have suspiciousness that, something is going on. It is very, very important that we get this. Very, very important. Okay. The next thing is dysfunction. Dysfunction. It must cause dysfunction to the person. If the symptoms you are suspecting is not causing dysfunction, then you cannot diagnose that person and say, there's mental illness. It must cause dysfunction. This person is no longer performing the way he used to. This is somebody that if you give the person assignment in the place of work, person has delivered. Do this, do this, do this. The person has delivered. But this time around, oh my God. Bring the report. I'm working on it. The file is on your table for days, for weeks. To even take your pen and write something becomes very difficult. Everyday living becomes mechanical. There's total dysfunction. As a student, you are not performing well. You are not submitting your assignment on time. At home, the dishes are left unwashed. Clothes are, does not get cleaned up. No laundry work. The floors are dirty. Everything. Because that's the last thing on your mind now. There is dysfunction. There is dysfunction. You are not performing at all, or you are performing at the suboptimal level. When that happens, then you can begin to get worried. Now, whatever symptoms that I'm going to mention by the grace of God next week, these symptoms are, symptoms of emotional illness. So we have talked about distress, we've talked about deviation, we talked about dysfunction, and what we're talking about next is danger. Any symptom you have or you suspect in your friend or anyone you know that is causing self-directed neglect to them, or is causing danger to others, that should signify the fact that something is wrong. For example, I know of a client who just decided to say, you know what, this house, I don't like it again, I want to sell it. A house that is worth millions of naira, decided to sell it for maybe 80,000 naira. Somebody bought the house, 80,000 naira. A house worth millions. That is financial danger. Because most of the time we think danger is all about the fact that the person is holding knife, is pursuing people around the house. That can also happen. People can become dangerous, to the extent that to live with them is quite, fearful. Danger. Danger does not mean the person is using knife or, gun or anything. No. It can be self-neglected behavior. For example, the person is refusing to take his shower or a shower, the person is not bathing, nothing. That is self-neglect. The person refuses to go to work. Things that will affect the person. Refuses to pay the bills, refuses to obey, traffic rules and regulation. Danger can be anything. So don't look at danger in that perspective alone. So don't forget today, we're saying that we're talking about the 5 Ds. The 5 Ds criteria that will make us to say the particular symptom we are seeing in this person is that of mental illness. So you don't just say because somebody is withdrawn, you now begin to say, oh, the person has mental illness. It must meet that 5 Ds. You said the number 1 is distress. Is it causing distress to him or people around him? Deviation. Is the person deviating from who she used to be or who he used to be? Is the behavior deviating from the normal? I sit in my house, I can sit down. But when I go outside and I'm sitting down on the floor, there's deviation. Or I used to be very calm and, all of a sudden, you now see somebody that on a normal day, you reverence and everything. You now begin to pat the person like that and say, oh, fine boy, how are you? Omo dada. Then people begin to say, it's not as good as this before. Those are signs that something is going on. There's a deviation in the personality of that person. Or someone that used to be bold before now begins to, I can't make it in life. He can no longer talk to people. He cannot do anything. The person is so shy. Say, no, this is not you. So when you have distress, when you have deviance, and when you have dysfunction, the person is no longer performing. To do work, to do his work is a problem. Anything. Files on the table. Homes in disarray. The houses are unclean. Everywhere the floors are untidy. To even clean the dishes. All those things. You say this person is not performing. As a student, the person cannot even concentrate, not even reading, is not even submitting assignments, group works, is not there, is not joining the discussion on the platform. There is suboptimal performance or total non-performance. So once you have distress, you have deviation, you have dysfunction, the next is danger. If this person constitutes danger, self-directed neglect is danger. Danger to others. It can be financial danger. It can be danger to reputation. It can be danger to, to others. Disobeying traffic rules, reckless driving. People may be suicidal and they just drive. They break all rules. They just drive at high speed. People may be on drugs. So when you see all these people, say, no, this is constituting danger to this person and to the society. So we're already having 4. We have distress. We have deviance, we have dysfunction, we have danger. Then you can say whatever symptoms you are seeing in that person indeed are symptoms of mental illness. Then when you now talk about duration, that is the last D. Don't forget, I told you from the beginning, I said, before we even talked about, I should have even started with this, that what are the rules or the rubrics, what are the 5 Ds governing mental illness diagnosis? How do you diagnose the person? How do you identify that someone has emotional illness? Before then, I talked about why don't people seek for help. But they can't even seek for help if they don't know they have emotional illness. So that's why we're doing this today. And then next week, by the special grace of God, we will be able to talk about what are these signs. What are the signs I need to look out for in others or in myself to know that, oh, these are signs and symptoms of emotional illness. But you cannot pick all those signs in isolation because they must be governed by these 5 Ds. And that's why today we're talking about the 5 Ds to identify that someone has emotional illness. We've talked about distress, we talked about deviation, we talked about dysfunction, we talked about danger, and the last one is duration. If somebody decides to withdraw to himself for 1 day or 2 days, you can't come around and be shouting, oh, he has mental illness. No. So as much as possible, it is important for us to know that when the duration is, going to weeks, months, then you say this person has mental illness. Someone has a very happy sunshine, you ask this question, is mental illness same as emotional illness? It is a continuum. It's like saying, is sadness same as depression? Sadness can be seen in form of, emotional illness. Some use it interchangeably. But the truth is this, sadness is not depression. Prolonged, perpetual sadness can cause depression. So when people say, what is depression? I ask them, have you been sad before? They say, yes. I say, imagine yourself in that state, now going into weeks, months. That is depression. It's a state of despondency. It's a state of melancholy where everything is gone. So just imagine yourself being sad. Most of the time we were sad this morning, this afternoon you are okay. You were sad yesterday, today you are okay. But in depression, it now becomes more prolonged, it's more severe. So sometimes emotional illness can just range from not sleeping, not being happy, not being able to perform optimally, inability to concentrate, poor memories, all those things can be there. But when you now talk of mental illness, that is when the cluster of symptoms now come together. And then we're able to diagnose and say, this is depression, this is bipolar, this is mania, this is schizophrenia, this is adjustment disorder, this is anxiety, this is panic disorder. So those are mental, but it's a continuum. Most of us are not mentally ill, but we may not be sound emotionally. Most of us may not be mentally ill to the extent that we will have that diagnosis. For example, there's what we call hypomania. You don't need to go to hospital, but the person will be, the thought will be racing, the person will not be able to sit still, the person will not be able to concentrate, the person will be, having several ideas, but the person will still not be admitted. The person will not be on medication. But once you're admitted, you're on medication, you are seeing counselors, and they have to, place you on management, you can say the person has mental illness. But in emotional illness, all those symptoms. But the truth is that emotional illness should be managed as well. Because if you don't manage emotional illness, it will eventually become full mental illness. It will become full mental illness. So that's why most of the time we use it interchangeably. We say emotional illness. Because health has been defined by WHO as not just absence of disease, not just absence of mental illness, but a state of sound mind, both emotionally, even spiritually, they put it there. Psychologically, your environment, people around you, everything must be sound. And that's why you cannot raise your hands up and say, I have no emotional problem. I am perfect. Something is, something may be missing. You may not be able to pay your bills. The economic situation in the country, for example, in Nigeria, has thrown many people into panic mode. That means they are not having good emotional health. Some people told me they can't sleep. Some people are agitated. Some people don't know what tomorrow will bring. Tomorrow is election day for governorship election. They don't even know the security in place. Some people are beginning to say, don't go out to Majadeo. Can you see the panic mode that the country is into? You can't say those people now have good or sound emotional health. And that's why things like this are very important. And that's why you can't just say someone has mental illness. The person must meet the 5 Ds. So, as I round up today, we talked about the 5 Ds that guide our diagnosis or that guide our identification that someone has mental illness or emotional illness. And that is the symptoms the person is displaying. The behavior of that person must be, must show deviation from who the person used to be. It must cause distress. It must cause dysfunction. It must, pose danger to him or her or to society or people around. And the duration is prolonged. Not just 1 or 2 days. You say, oh, let's go to hospital. He has mental illness. He has emotional problem. No. You have not been sleeping. If it runs into days, then there's problem. You are withdrawn to self. Days, weeks, then there's problem. You have, you change your personality. Days and the thing is prolonged. There's problem. So it depends. So now when next you see someone, identify the 5 Ds. The duration. The danger it possesses, the danger that is attributed to that particular behavior, the deviation. You understand? And then the distress is causing, and then the dysfunction. Okay. So if you just joined, I want to especially thank you for joining, for making it a day. It's going to be posted on my page. You can go back and check my Instagram page and look at what we discussed today. Next week, I said that we would likely do this twice a week now. People are saying, every Friday. Or I may decide to just make it Friday tonic, or decide to do it on Tuesdays and Fridays. I will let you know. Occasionally also, when there are reasons for me to come up, I'm going to come up. I'm going to let you know. I'm going to let you know these things, okay? It's important for you to know that help is around you. There are public mental health facilities all over Nigeria. There are private mental health facilities all over Nigeria. And I coordinate Grace Cottage Clinic. That is where people get help. And you can check the bio, you can check the comments section for the location and the address. So there's no excuse that, I didn't know that private hospital exists. Even online psychotherapy sessions are available. I had a session with somebody yesterday. So there's no, and the beautiful thing about psychotherapy is you can have it online. You'll be looking at me, I'll be looking at you. Tell me your problem. The only thing is that if you are crying, I will not be able to give you the handkerchief to be able to wipe your face. But I'll tell you to check handkerchief around you or tissue paper and then clean your face. Otherwise, it's just the same thing. So, help is around you. There's no reason to say, I don't know how to get help. If you're in Canada, if you're in London, if you're the person I had a session with yesterday, from Canada here, I was able to reach him from USA. Last week, I spoke with a lady in UK. So, COVID-19 has made us to know that some things are possible. Telemedicine, telepsychiatry, all those things are possible. Online therapy sessions, just a giveaway now. So there's no need to be thinking, how will I see the doctor? Some of you are thinking, I don't want to leave my home. I don't want people to see me mental health home. No problem. You can be in the comfort of your room. You make a call. Doctor, I think I have panic attack. I think I have this. I've not been going through this. I've been going through this. I've not been doing this. And then we talk. Okay? So exactly. Thank you so much. Location is no barrier when it comes to seeking help. There's no health without mental health. Thank you, everyone. Make it a day with me next week. I will let you know if we are meeting on Tuesday or same time Friday. Till then, remember, there is no health without mental health. Bye-bye. Catch ya. See ya.